Hello, everyone. This is the Morgan Millennial Minute Report. This is Alexander, your host. The show is brought to you by David Morgan of the morganreport.com. Today, we're having a very special guest named Kenzie. She has been trying to spread awareness for the sound money movement, and she is trying to expose the manipulation of the precious metal prices. Hello, Kenzie. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Alex. I think this is going to be fun.
Okay, that sounds good. So can you tell us what you know about the LBMA and why are they manipulating silver?
This is just my opinion, and I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, probably not the most useful tool in the drawer. But I do believe that price is being suppressed because, well, Alex, you know the amount of debt that's out there in the world. I think that both gold and silver are being suppressed and manipulated because it keeps people, the everyday person, someone like you or me, maybe we don't think twice about gold or silver. We're going to go buy some Amazon stock, right? We're going to keep running up that stock market and putting our money in places where it's not actually going to benefit us much later. So if the banks can distract us from these other assets, well, they can collect more for a very nice price. And my opinion is when this reset or whatever comes, I think that they're going to be able to pay off a lot of their debts with gold and silver. There could be a more detailed opinion from someone else out there, and I've listened to a couple of them now, but I don't think that I'm smart enough to actually speak on that topic. For me, this is more of a gut feeling. And whenever I've looked throughout history as to what happens when currencies have to reset and these sort of things happen, gold or silver is always used by the banks to pay down that debt. And it's smart for us to acquire it so we can do the same. And I mean, if we see inflation with deflation, which I think is possible, whatever the banks hold will be super inflated. But hey, let's say Bob down the road from me, he's got 100 acres for sale. And maybe there's only 20 grand left to pay on that debt that he has on it. If I could pay that off with my gold or silver, I'm going to buy some land during that time. And we see the wealthy are doing the same right now.
Yeah, so these corporations are keeping the gold and silver prices down so they can buy it up, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. So where do you think the price of silver is going to in the next 6 months?
Ooh, in the next 6 months. That's difficult because we've seen the volume tick up and it's actually stayed kind of up, not what I'm used to seeing. So there's a lot of activity going on in the silver market. If we continue to see demand go on, I feel as if we should easily be at $40 an ounce, and that's just to be conservative and also with the manipulation that's out there. But that's the big thing here is I think a lot of us know where silver should be. We know how limited it actually is. These paper contracts don't matter. You and I both know that. But with the amount of manipulation that's out there, I couldn't say. I just see this as there's a rubber band that's being pulled, right? And eventually it's going to snap. So we're waiting on that snap point, and then we'll get to see the real cost of these metals. That'll come to show.
So when do you think the manipulation will end?
See, that one's another tough one for me because I tell people to do things on your time. And what I mean by that is put a kink in their agenda because we know that these big players, they have an agenda. So if we could speed it up or even slow it down, I would call that a success, right? Make it as hard for them as possible. So I think that the way that we do this, what we're seeing now where people are dumping paper contracts, we are calling out places like the Perth Mint just to, there maybe there's no funny business at all, but explain to me what's happening. We're not even really getting that from these companies. So we're close to a breaking point as far as silver goes. Now with everything else, I have no idea. What's sad is everything's manipulated. The stock market, housing market, the precious metals markets, the car market is manipulated. So I think when we start to see the big players start to default, when you start hearing about names that you recognize very well, which actually happened before the scamdemic and during the scamdemic. We were seeing big names go down. I could throw out Toys R Us going bankrupt. Once you start seeing big companies like this go under, you know there's going to be a problem, and if enough of them happen at the same time, the people will wake up. Even if the stock market's doing great, they're going to feel uneasy. So maybe that's our time. Maybe it comes from the amount of buying in silver. I can't tell you. I'm just kind of a sit and wait kind of person. I'll wait and see.
Yeah, so why do you think the LBMA, basically a corporate union for the 77 largest corporations in the world, why do you think they get to decide how much silver is sold for the price each day?
You know, that's a really good question. And that's a hard one to answer because maybe my mind could be a bit more conspiratorial than others. I think that there are certain players out there that get the green light and others that are told when to stop. And this company holds a lot of that. Now, there are reasons for doing that and why they hold this much weight. I don't know, but somebody gave them the green light to do it. So we think of them as this giant entity that's doing all this manipulation. I wonder who's the people behind that entity, and I couldn't answer that question. Someone or some family extremely elite is pulling the strings here.
Yeah, definitely. So, what do you think of the Chinese government trying to make its entire country cashless with a new digital currency?
I really don't like it, and we see that the U.S., maybe not in the mainstream media just yet, maybe not from the Fed just yet, we see that eventually we're going to be going the same direction. What makes me nervous about this is China loves control of its people. Typically, the U.S. people don't feel as if we're having that same kind of control over us, but slowly over time, it's happening. China's just kind of a playbook for the rest of the developed world, right? And with a digital dollar, whether it be in China or here, your freedom is immediately stripped away. I don't need the government to know about every candy bar, soda, or maybe some farmer's market cucumbers that I buy. They don't need to know every little detail. Many people will tell you, you know, you shouldn't be concerned about your privacy if you're not doing anything wrong. Well, you being a good person today, the government might not agree with that tomorrow, right? We see and something to really throw out there. In China, you're not even allowed to go to church or to read a Bible unless it's a government approved person doing so. They have to meet in secret. So I'm sure those people might spend their money a little bit differently than the guy down the road that doesn't care. They're going to be able to tell how that's happening. So, you know, you might not be doing anything wrong, but the government could say that you are. You know, it's just about freedom at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you think physical silver is better because it's more private?
I do. I actually really like it. Even if you were, I'm not a huge fan of buying online, but there is more freedom as to what you could get online. But at the end of the day, once it's at your home, they don't know if you've sold it, if you buried it in the ground, if you shipped it to somebody overseas. They have no idea what you did with it once it's there. So the best thing to do, I think, is to do private sales between people or go to your local coin shop if you were concerned about that. But yeah, it's extremely private. You know, even our $100 bills today, some of those don't seem to be as private as they used to be. This is going to sound really weird, but some of them have RFID chips in them. And I confirmed this a couple years ago because I put one in the microwave and it popped. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So I don't know. It seems like they're getting ready for something, and that's totally random. But I didn't like it. You know?
Yeah, so they're starting to track larger denomination bills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. And those will be used more, right? If we, excuse me, sorry, I've been outside all day. Those larger denominations, for anybody that's really been saving money, like they tend to put money aside, they want to do it in those larger denominations because it's easier to move. whether it be a legitimate digital currency or they just start actually tracking the currency that you have, maybe in your safe somewhere, I don't want them knowing every little thing that I'm doing with that, right? And I'm not even just talking about tax evasion. It just goes back to privacy. The people deserve that. And I don't know, Alex, there seems to be a lot of people that are okay with maybe their privacy being totally stripped. And that's kind of scary to think about. That's very dystopic.
Right. It seems like governments around the world are planning on getting rid of fiat dollars because, they're
Mm-hmm.
physical. And so do you think the government will be able to tax every purchase made with crypto?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I hold a tiny portion of crypto, but the main reason for that is because I don't see necessarily the potential in it the way that other people do, because the way that this world is going, it doesn't matter how much crypto I have in a wallet or on my phone or wherever, um, I'm not going to be allowed to use it. So for me, it's just a matter of putting it into more gold and silver if I can pay down, debts, and the only debt that we have is on the house. Um, if I can pay that stuff down sooner or make it easier for myself, then I'm gonna do that. But the direction that things are going in, there's a chance that someone like me won't even be allowed to have a job. So I better secure myself as much as I can now, because when that day comes, I'll probably just be an outcast to society.
Yeah, definitely. So we see JP Morgan, they're hoarding silver and all these other big corporations, they're hoarding it. It seems like they want the media to promote Bitcoin and other things. Do you think that's just a way so people don't invest in silver?
Oh, definitely so. I mean, I think that we're seeing the greatest wealth transfer we've ever seen happening right now, and it's nowhere near stopping. I think that they're going to keep going for a little while.
Yeah. So, what is a good way for millennials to build and preserve wealth?
Oh, well, it's different for all of us because it depends on where you're starting from, where you might live, and getting some resources together. So I would say the number one thing, easiest way to start yourself off is start with a part-time hustle that's online. You can go with Amazon's making a lot of policy changes right now. I don't know if I can continue to promote that forever. It is getting tougher to sell there. They're going to kick themselves in the butt later for this. Um, Amazon's great though because 80% of online shopping is now done through Amazon. So even with all the competition that's on that site, if you could just start with making an extra $50 a month, see what you're doing, look at those analytics that they give you, figure out how to make that better, and move on maybe to a different product. I don't promote drop shipping or anything like this. You need to start your own business. Find something niche, find something with good profit margins, and start this way. If you don't necessarily have the money to start that, look around your house. We've all got something we could get rid of on eBay or at a yard sale. So we just need a little bit of extra cash in our pocket up front to get started, right? And from there, every time you're making a little bit of money from that side hustle, put it right back into the business. And keep that main job until that side hustle is making equivalent to what you're already making at your job, right? So just keep building on that. And once you got some savings set aside from doing that, start investing immediately. And honestly, I would say as soon as you could go out and get your first ounce of silver, do that anyway. That's a form of savings. That's going to be your piggy bank, and it'll always be there for you.
Yeah, I agree. Can you tell the viewers where they can find you?
Mm-hmm. So I've actually got two different YouTube channels. I started maybe almost 2 years ago on YouTube as Fringe Files, and I kind of just cover um, maybe mainstream topics, but we kind of read between the lines over there as to what could be coming in the future. And then here recently, I've actually started Wall Street Stackers, and I decided to leave Wall Street Silver. I didn't like some of the things that were going on over there. I love the community, but as far as the people that run it, it didn't make me feel very good inside. So I left that and started Wall Street Stackers on YouTube. And here soon I'll have everything loaded up to the podcast as well.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you for being on the show, and I hope we can have you on again soon.
Oh, of course, Alex. Thank you.
And thank you for everyone who watched this video. Thank you.